Hey everyone, we are in the studio today because we're celebrating the launch of our new collection that we called Smile. And what I thought we would do is answer some of your questions that have come up since we've launched the range. And the question that has come up is, help me choose the best winter boot for my I.R.L. situations. So I thought today I would just give you like a couple of ideas from a design perspective on how to choose the best boots for your life, and also just share a bit about the process behind the scenes on some of the silhouettes, because that might help you to determine where best to invest. Essentially, when you're buying winter boots, I think there's three questions that you need to ask yourself. The first is, where do you need to wear them? The second is, how do you want to wear them? And the third is like what sort of foot shape you have, because foot shape, of course, can determine a lot with shoes as well. And so thinking through that, this is always top of mind when we're in the design process, right? So it's something that we call end use. And I've talked about this before, where in our ranging process, when we're coming up with the collection, we're asking ourselves, what is the end use on the shoes that we make? How do women want to wear them, and what parts of their life do they want to take them to? And so when we think about end use, we break that down even further into the two parts of your life that they speak to. So there's active shoes and sharp shoes. And obviously all the shoes we make are flat shoes, because we're thinking about this really pragmatic, practical approach of shoes you can wear I.R.L. So what we're going to do is take through three boots that speak to these ideas between active and sharp, and actually there's something else that we like to call a hybrid on the end. So the first silhouette that we call active, and that has been in the collection for a long time, 4 years, is the Saturn Returns shearling boot. This is very much an active shoe that we've designed with weekend and kind of more outdoor situations in mind. So we'll talk through that one. And then the next shoe that we're going to talk through and share some ideas on is coming from our sharp category. So when we were ranging, we were thinking about shoes for the sharp end of your life. And that is the Lunar boots. Okay, so this is design. When I talk about these being sharp, this is from our design intent. So when I was designing the shoes, thinking about this as the shoe that you want to wear across work and going out after work, and, you know, for more dressed up situations. So it might not speak sharp to you necessarily, but from a designer's intent point of view, when I was designing the shoes, this is like the sharp shoe, okay? And then the third shoe, which is in fact our best-selling boot, has been in the collection for a long time, also 4 years, is our everything boot. And everything boot's a really interesting one because it's actually a hybrid. And that's why it's a bestseller, because it does multiple jobs. And so if you're someone that's looking for a multiple purpose boot, this is where you want to go. And it's also one of the reasons I believe it's a bestseller. And we'll get into that, like why I believe from a silhouette perspective, it actually speaks to so many different women, and why it's something that you can essentially have in your wardrobe for many years. So they're the three boots we're going to be talking through. In answering that question, radical yes, help me choose a boot that's best for my I.R.L. situations. So let's get into it. All right, so now I'm going to talk to you about Lunar boots. All right, so like I said, Lunar boots within the context of our collection are something that we would call more sharp, right? So they're boots that you're wearing during the day to work, and then possibly going out for dinner after work or something like that, or to an event after work. So that's why we classify the end use as kind of sharp. And the reason that we call this boot sharp is because of its silhouette and the proportions of its silhouette. So things like the slim ankle. Keep in mind this is stretch leather, so it's just the appearance of it being slim. It actually does fit lots of different ankle shapes. You shouldn't worry about that too much. The other thing is, in terms of the silhouette, is the toe shape. So something that we are always conscious of with our shoes is the shapes of the toes, and something that we definitely work in opposition to is almond toe shapes. And the reason for that is that almond toe shapes have a very mass market, mid-market kind of broad, appeal. And that's, I guess, something that as a brand we're working in opposition to, because we're trying to create something more elevated and more sophisticated than mass market products, right? And so these nuances in things like the toe shape are what I guess sets us apart with how we design the products. So the toe shape here, you can see it's got a really gentle toe puff, this shoe. It gives it some really nice definition on the toe. And as I said, it's broader, which looks beautiful then with long pants going over the front because you've got like a really nice sleeked out toe. Then, so thinking about your where you're wearing it and how you need to wear them. So that sort of toe shape detail makes them, for me, work appropriate. Now, obviously, with this season, the colour on the golden, which has been a bestseller and is selling really quick. We only made 80 pairs and there's 60 left. The golden colour obviously is maybe not your first choice for a work situation, depending on where you work. But the reason that we've matched the golden with the gum is to kind of neutralise the craziness and the fun, the kind of wackiness, I guess, of the golden. And by matching it with gum, it instantly becomes more wearable and I think more like kind of safe in a work environment. You know, if you're wearing it with dresses and things like that, it's going to be less of an eyebrow raiser, if you like, in a more polished work setting. So that's just a little element. So thinking about your 3 questions, where do you need to wear them? If you want to wear them to work, thinking about what your work environment's truly like. Maybe the golden is better for the weekend for you and black is a safer option, which we can talk about later. Then also thinking how you want to wear them. So you're wearing them with dresses or a suit. We quite often wear these with crop flare. Like we always style these with crop flares, these boots. And then thinking about your foot shape. The greatest features about our Lunar boots is that they do still have a removable insole. So lots of customers with a dress orthotic, so you have to have a dress orthotic, not a sports orthotic, do use the removable insole and pop their orthotic in. So you can have an orthotic. The foot shapes that they're not so great for if you've got a high arch. So some customers with a high arch can't wear these shoes, but it does just depend on what shape your arch is. And again, like we've got free shipping and free exchanges and all the things, so you can test it out at home and see, and we can always talk you through it. So that's Lunar boots. Okay, so Saturn returns. So very much, as I said, this is what we would call an active end use. So look, as a designer, the truth about this shoe is that it was inspired by Sunday morning weekends needing to be out in the cold at soccer with my kids. And so that's where the idea for it originally began. It's not that glamorous, but I also think that it speaks a lot to the practicality and the essence of what this shoe is about. And since then, it's really evolved and become something, you know, of its own thing, and so many different women wear it in different ways. But it was one of those products that we made that I guess started with functionality top of mind first. So they are wool lined. It's obviously a classic trainer silhouette. It's on our own outsole, which we love. And essentially, we like to think of this as an outdoor sort of all-weather shoe. Like it's great for really cold weather. It's great for outdoor situations. So when we're thinking about those 3 questions we were talking about before in choosing a boot, like the where, the how, and your foot, the where is like if your life is generally outside and running around, commuting, and being outside in the wet, this is a great shoe for that because it's going to keep your feet warm, but it also looks excellent. The profile itself lends itself to a couple of like really interesting points, and that is that like being a lace up, this actually is really good for all different foot widths. And I've made a video before where I've shown you how if you take all the laces out, if you're someone with a wider foot, if you take all the laces out when you get the shoe and then adjust it to your fit, it can actually go even up as wide as an E fitting. But it's also really good for narrow feet because I know a lot of customers with narrow feet have troubles with lace-up boots as well. But because of the wool lining, that can really help to pad them out and give the foot more structure and more shape. So the lacing up is a really great feature that makes them easier for lots of different customers. Something else that I like to think about with trainers is not making them too literal in the way that you wear them. So like if you go for something opposite, I tend to always wear like trainers perhaps with a collar or a man style shirt, or like a trench or something that is like the opposite to what you might imagine a trainer with. So not track pants, you know, if you want to feel chic, like it might feel a bit too literal. So trying to look for those opposite things, I guess, is something that I'm always thinking about. And in terms of the palette that we have come up with this season, I'm really proud of the palettes that we've made this year. They're very athletic inspired. And we were looking at, I guess, at high-end brands like Stella McCartney, but at a more local level, brands like PE Nation and Nagnata, who are doing a really awesome job of like strong, directional kind of fashion active wear palettes. And that very much informed the energy that we were trying to create with this shoe. And that's why I feel like this teal color really speaks to something very modern. And so if you're thinking about how to wear it, it looks beautiful with denims and like obviously like navy palettes and things like that. But it actually, one of the greatest things too about these boots is the lining in the biscuit color as well. So it's got a bit of a beautiful, delicious accent in the tone, which again, like gives you a bit of an indication on how to wear it as well, with like lots of caramel and things like that. Looks beautiful. So Saturn returns. If you need a boot that is outdoor, that is warm, if you're someone that is, you know, outside a lot, like you're commuting a lot, and also not wearing it too literal. And then for foot shapes, you can be wide, narrow. It's quite forgiving. And it has the removable insole, so you can still put your orthotic in. Okay, everything boots. So this is one of those awesome hybrid boot situations that is both active and sharp, and has been in the collection for 4 years. And I think it's one of the reasons, whenever we make something that's hybrid, it's a bit like Declaration Sandal being hybrid. That's when things become bestsellers, because you guys have got lots of different options and ways to wear them, and they suit lots of different feet. And that's definitely, I guess, what everything boot is. And like I said, it's been in the collection for 4 years, and there's a reason for that. So here's where everything boot's interesting though. So it's got the same outsole and it's built on the same last as Saturn Returns, right? But the reason that it feels really different on the foot, and that again, it's coming down to our toe shape variations, right? So everything boot does have a toe puff in it, which gives it that structure, right? So that smooth sleekness over the vamp, whereas Saturn Returns has no toe puff. So it's really soft. And that sort of gives you an indication on the different ways that you can wear it, right? Like, so this is a more structured shoe. It looks more structured on the foot. And obviously in the proportions with a classic Chelsea boot, it makes it a lot more work friendly than maybe Saturn Returns for some places of work. But the best thing about everything boot, of course, is it's got the wool lining. So it's really good for the commute, and it's really good for being outside, and it's really good for those weekend situations maybe that you might find yourself on where you're outside for extended periods in the cold. So that's why I think this boot speaks to a lot of different people and why we call it a hybrid. Also, the height of this boot sits really beautifully. So, and I think it's one of the things that makes it feel very designed and thought through, because it's not like an ankle boot that you see in mid-market product. Like, it has that height in the shaft, which makes it look really cool with dresses. So you'll see this year we've styled it up with dresses and socks, and that gives it kind of that, yeah, like I said, more dressed up appeal. So I quite often like to wear them and tucked into pants as well for winter situations. So with socks tucked into denims, which we styled it that way last year. We can put some photos up of that. Other types of feet that work in this shoe. All right, so again, customers with orthotics wear these shoes really well. Because you can take the inner sole out, just like on all 3 of these shoes. You can remove the inner sole, put your orthotic in. These shoes also work really well on width up to about a D fittings. If you're much beyond a D, being a Chelsea boot, you probably won't get your foot all the way into the shoe. Sometimes too, you might know your own feet. If you've got a high arch can always struggle a little bit with Chelsea boots. Again, the best thing to do is just to try them and take advantage of our free shipping and free easy exchanges. So thinking about where you want to wear them, if you need to go to work and weekend situations, this is a really good boot. And then if you like to wear dresses with your winter boots, again, I think this is more for you. And in terms of feet, if you are someone that gets cold feet, you're going to love these boots. So that's it, 3 boots for 3 situations, or more than 3 situations, many situations, but hopefully giving you some ideas from a design perspective of what we were thinking when we're making the shoes to help you identify which one's going to give you the best bang for your buck if you invest in any of these shoes, and getting your cost per wear down so you can wear them a lot through winter. If you've got any questions, please hit us up in the comments below, because we love your questions. Your questions inspire us and help us make more videos and tell you more things about the shoes. So hit us up. Okay, stay radical.